So we have a massive AFL trade update video to go over with you guys. Probably the biggest one I think I've almost made so far. And the reality is, I think this is way too early AFL trade video discussion news, whatever the fuck I decide to title these things. Part 10, which is insane. The support you guys have been giving me has been absolutely crazy. Again, I think this could genuinely be the last part to this now. We might be moving on to just AFL trade news and talk, because I don't necessarily know if this is early trade conversation really anymore. Look, it may be. I might decide to change my mind while editing this video and whatnot, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. Again, there's some smaller things I'd like to start off with first. Again, Alex Neil-Bullen. We know he recently requested a trade from Melbourne. He did request a trade to South Australia for family reasons. Definitely not because apparently everyone in Melbourne wants to leave. Shout out Kysaiah Pickett. Shout out Christian Petrarca. Shout out Adam Tomlinson, who we're going to talk about in a second. But Alex Neil-Bullen has officially nominated the Melbourne... What the fuck? I had one job, man. Alex Neil-Bullen has officially nominated the Adelaide Football Club. Again, we kind of all knew this was happening. Port Adelaide have their focus on the 612 different GWS players they are going after. Again, I still think they're going to be looking at Kysaiah Pickett, even though there's rumours he's picked someone else. Again, more later on in the video about that. But yeah, Neil-Bullen to Adelaide makes a ton of sense. They have notoriously not been the greatest drafting team. I mean, Adelaide fans will tell you that out of anyone, right? In the last couple of years, they just unfortunately haven't been. But what they've been good at is trading for a bunch of really good players like Jordan Dawson, Isaac Rankin, and now Neil-Bullen, who's been one of the most underrated players in the game for way too long. Josh Battle has officially, essentially, joined Hawthorn. It's being said that he will be leaving the Saints and will move to the Hawks as an unrestricted free agent. Again, at the time making this video, it's kind of yet to know what pick that will be. If it's front-loaded, which we all know it possibly could be, this could genuinely be a top 10 pick in compensation for St Kilda. If it's not front-loaded and it's just the 800 that's rumoured per year for him, it will probably be an end of first round pick, early second round pick selection for the Saints. So they're definitely obviously hoping they do what Essendon did with Mackay and basically pay this dude their whole fucking salary in their first year. It's also being said that Collingwood are interested in midfielder Alex Davies from Gold Coast. Again, a player I think the Tigers should look at, and I've been saying this for a minute now. Collingwood have kind of just swooped in and looks like they're going to try and pull him away from Gold Coast. Again, I believe he's actually from up in Queensland, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can bring him down. Again, he's kind of like a 23rd to 26th man for the Suns. He's either just in the team or either just out of the team, and I think he's going to want to come into a club and play consistent football. And we know with Collingwood having a bunch of injuries as of late, again, players like Sidebottom and Scott Pendlebury turning 47 years old, they're going to be looking for a lot of midfield depth very, very shortly. And Alex Davies is, I think, a player who would essentially jump straight into that. And you could probably get him for an end of second round pick or so, which I think the Gold Coast Suns would part ways with Alex Davies to try and get. We've also got Adam Tomlinson getting a ton of interest from other teams. Again, from what I've heard, the Saints are the team who are big on Adam Tomlinson. This is due to the fact that Josh Battle is leaving them. They want to bring in a cheap replacement to try and get this going. Again, if this does become a trade situation, which it might, because I'm sure St Kilda won't want to interfere with their, again, compensation. Could you imagine the AFL were like, we're not going to give you compensation because you've just signed a player to replace Josh Battle. So basically you're picking Adam Tomlinson over like a possible top 10 pick. I think all Saints fans would probably go to the nearest bridge and jump off it. So yeah, I expect this to get done probably in like a trade situation. The Saints will probably give up a third round pick or so. I don't expect this to be too much. I don't think Melbourne will really argue too much with this. They've got a ton of other problems and situations. And let's be honest here, a good Melbourne backline, which is usually semi-healthy, does not have Adam Tomlinson in it anymore. So this is a situation that I think works both positively for Melbourne and works positively for St Kilda if they can make this happen. Again, a player who's had a ton of rumours over the last week or two, which is kind of crazy because it's gotten bigger and bigger every single week, does actually happen to be Tom Lynch. Again, Damien Barrett did report saying that Tom Lynch will be a massive person of interest for both Melbourne and Collingwood. Again, this is one of the weirdest situations because I am 99.9% sure that Tom Lynch will be a Richmond Tiger next year. Again, the Tigers are losing basically everyone. I've spoken about it in the previous videos. We know Liam Baker has requested a trade, Shea Bolton's requested a trade, Daniel Rioli's requested a trade, and Dusty and Dylan Grimes and whatnot have all retired. They really can't afford to lose another player, especially Tom Lynch, who, when healthy, is arguably Richmond's best. Again, we got to remember, the last time this guy was healthy, Tom Lynch was statistically the best key forward in the AFL. In 2012, fuck's sake, in 2022, he ended up missing like 5 games that year and only lost the Coleman by like 5 or 6 goals. Again, he averaged the most goals. I think he averaged the most contested marks, and he was like statistically the best key forward in the game. Since then, however, he's played about 5 AFL matches, and it just hasn't been that great. But when he does play, we've seen it. Richmond are a completely different team. He was able to help the Tigers get that massive win against the Sydney Swans early on in the year, where the Tigers actually looked really good when they were healthy. Of course, they're not going to look like that now with half the players Tom Lynch played with in that game. Probably won't be there next year. But I can't see a situation where Tom Lynch gets traded. Not only is he way too important for Richmond, but he's also going to really help out this rebuild, giving the 1 or 2 key forwards the Tigers draft over the next year or two a leader, one of the best key forwards of all time to learn from. Richmond youngster midfielders who they're probably going to have a lot of. It also gives them someone to kick to, which is really, really important for a young player. And I think the most important reason on why Tom Lynch will be a Tiger next year is, from what I know, Tom Lynch is the highest paid player in the AFL next year. Again, that might sound crazy, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be on about 1.6 million to play for Richmond next year. And some people out there might be like, that's fucking overpaid. Are Richmond mentally all there? What the fuck are they doing? Well, look, I think every Richmond fan would do that deal 999.9 million times out of 999 million, because Tom Lynch signing that contract got them 2 extra flags and really helped them in 2012, and should hopefully next season help out all these youngsters. And it's just been a phenomenal player for the Tigers for so long and will forever be known as a Richmond legend. I don't see this happening. Collingwood can't afford him. Melbourne could possibly afford him, but they've got their own problems with Christian Petrarca, Adam Tomlinson, Kysaiah Pickett, etc., to go over. And again, speaking of Kysaiah Pickett, we know that he apparently went into his Melbourne meeting pretty upset, and it seems like he wants to return home. Again, this was being reported that he actually wanted to go to South Australia, which he spent a lot of his life there. It was rumoured he actually had secret early negotiations with Port Adelaide earlier in the year. It was confirmed, I think, 2 years ago he had negotiations with Port Adelaide, and that just never happened. But I can officially tell you right now, not only does Kysaiah Pickett not going to want to go to Port Adelaide, he's not going to want to go to Adelaide as well, but he wants to go to Western Australia, where it's being reported he is going to pick Fremantle as he pursues a trade. This is absolutely insane that Freo now can legitimately get Kysaiah Pickett and Shea Bolton. The unfortunate thing is, they're going to be about 2 first-round picks each. The fortunate thing is, you get 2 of the top 3 small forwards in the game who can both play midfield, especially Shea Bolton, and one's like 25 and one's like 24. You are getting these guys going into their prime of their careers who are going to last another probably 6 to 8 years for your team in the AFL. This is fucking crazy. Can you imagine being a defending team and knowing that you have to go against that Fremantle team, but you've got to go against now Shea Bolton and Kysaiah Pickett in that forward line. And having those guys are going to free up players like Michael Frederick. That is fucking scary to think. And the reality is they can now have their midfield, which was already set of like Hayden Young, Angus Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, with a bunch of other players floating through there. They can now have Shea Bolton and Kysaiah Pickett float through there at any time. That's fucking scary. That will put hair on any Fremantle fans' balls. I legitimately just would not be surprised. Again, what are the trades going to be like to get these players? I think at the time making this video, they have 9, 10, and 16 or so. They will become 11, 12, and 18 because of the compensations and whatnot. So I think what will probably happen is they will offer Richmond 11 and 18 and maybe a future third just to make sure they do it for like Shea Bolton and maybe one of their third round picks they've got this year. That will probably happen. And then they're going to offer Kysaiah Pickett and Melbourne probably pick 12 and a future first, which again, if you're Melbourne, you absolutely do. 2 first round picks for Kysaiah Pickett is enormous value right now, especially considering they're going into this new phase of what looks to be, could be a rebuild on the run, at least attempt, because all of their players want to leave. Again, they've got like 4 players I've talked about in this video who legitimately want to leave their team, which is crazy to think. Again, I don't think Richmond are going to be happy at all that they're not going to get 11 and 12 for Shea Bolton. That's what they're going to try and get. But in reality, if Fremantle offered up 11 and 17 or whatever, they're probably going to have to throw in another future third or something just to sweet talk the Tigers into getting this done. And look, 5 picks for those guys sound like a lot, but it's really not. This team only just missed the 8 and were in the 4 most of the year. They only crumbled in the last 4 or 5 rounds. The thing is, if Fremantle add those 2 guys, get another year into this extremely good young core that they've got, the players that they drafted in the previous year or 2 come up, which we know they probably will. The only thing this team may have an issue with is potentially their backline. But their backline is still young. They've still got young key defenders coming through. I wouldn't be surprised if they really go out and get that grand final appearance that they've been desperately trying to get for years and years, ever since 2013, where they ultimately failed to take home the cup. I wouldn't be surprised if they, go ahead and make this happen. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. Do you guys agree with all the trades that I've mentioned so far in terms of who wins, who doesn't? Do you think they'll all happen? Whatever it may be, definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Subscribe to this channel for all that sports content and news. Subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/following channels. Links for them will be in the description down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.